Hey, hello. Stuck in traffic with Wolf Gorlick. Couple-minute riff on IT security, live from CodeMash, the software development conference, for the next couple days. And one of the things that was kind of interesting yesterday was, developers at our development conference. What are they doing? They're working while they're learning and everything else. And where do you work? You upload your code to GitHub, right? And you download your code from GitHub. I forget how many gigabytes of data went. I think it was like 30, 40, 50, I don't know, tons of gigabytes of data come flying out of Kalahari, the resort where the conference is at, come flying out of Kalahari straight to GitHub, which GitHub then saw as a denial of service attack and blocked the Kalahari's IP address for a period of time. I tweeted it out and it was fixed pretty quickly, but that cracked me up, right? I love those controls, right? We got these great controls in place. We got this great access control list, and some logic happens that does not match the real world, and all of a sudden we've got an incident, all of a sudden we've got an outage, all of a sudden we got problems. Same thing happens, of course, with other types of access control lists, like role-based security, right? We've been saying forever and a day, use role-based security until you try and implement it and you don't have good guidance, and then you create a quagmire. Microsoft has a what they call was an AGDLP, a gulp, which is a way of structuring the accounts into local groups and domain groups and global groups, and then assign those groups down to the actual resource. Very few people actually follow that. In application development space, there's role-based security, which is, is in this role, then do this. And today I sat in a great session with Jim Manicode on Twitter, and he pointed out, he's like, yeah, that sounds great if you're like, oh, well, 2-3 different roles. What happens when you add a role? Now you have to go ahead and modify all your different code. What happens if you got multi-tenancy, where you got different customers with different roles? Example I think he used was Star Wars. Right? What happens when you add a trilogy and now you've got to define roles for different types of Jedi, and without having to go through your code and create really long if-then and switch statements? There's no easy way to do that with the traditional way role-based security is often implemented. So Microsoft has their guidance, Manicode has his guidance. He's just going to OWASP, which is looking at it from a permission level, which is, again, is pretty similar to what Microsoft does. So instead of saying, is this in this role, is it permitted to do this? Which is what Microsoft does with these groups. It actually translates it down to a list of IDs in the access controls that are then checked against your object. So something to think about when just about everyone these days seems to have identity and access management projects on their plate. What are we going to find when we start changing our roles and bolting on top IAM and IDM solutions? What are we going to find on those underlying systems? Are the applications written right? Are the systems configured right? Are they really? Or are we going to flip the coin, put it in, and then have something happen, like a bunch of people at a conference, that according to the business logic should be one thing but really ends up being another, and then we have an outage? My money's on the latter, because that's what always seems to happen. But definitely start thinking about that when you put together your IAM programs. What are your apps looking at? What are your systems looking at? Cheers.